Grab your spears and raise your tomahawk, Seminole fans. You're listening to the Warpath and watching the Warpath and watching Matt Lasser with a tomahawk or a spear in his hand.
Actually grabbing one this time.
Yeah. The weekly collaboration between the Osceola.com and Warchant.com. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer for the Osceola.com. That's Matt Lasser, recruiting writer for Warchant. Welcome to the Warpath. And I think we want to start the show today with a little bit of transparency. Matt and I both left off last show with the idea, or at least a strong consideration to the fact that we would be talking about recruiting with the understanding that there was currently an interim coach at Florida State. That is not what happened.
With a loss to Stanford.
With a loss to Stanford, that's correct. That is not what happened. Florida State administration, athletic director Michael Alford, obviously, releasing a statement on Monday that is ensuring Mike Norvell's survival, should we call it, till the end of the season. I don't think maybe we shouldn't word it that way, Matt, because I do think that this is a very week by week, game by game basis. There needs to be something that needs to be seen on the field. I think there's still a very real possibility that if you lose to Wake Forest, they may change their mind and fire Mike in season. But at least for the time being, the current path forward is that Mike Norvell is going to be the head coach of Florida State for the rest of the season. And that makes recruiting very, very interesting. It's kind of in a state of limbo right now, Matt, where you have all of these recruits, you have all of these commits that kind of see the writing on the wall, yet the messaging from Florida State, the messaging from Mike Norvell is that we're going to still be here. We're going to continue to turn it around. It's going to make things a little bit interesting, Matt, in terms of how things move going forward.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge right now, right? Like,
yeah,
really, I know we've talked about it and we'll get into it in a second. Like, it's hard to see them having a 2026 recruiting class at this point because it kind of seems like, well, it seems like Norvell is probably going to get fired at the end of the season no matter what. Off chance he wins out, it still might be tough for him to keep his job, right? I think that's where we're at. And that's mainly because of you guys out there, you guys who donate to the Battle's End and boosters. I don't think anybody wants to donate and give money for another roster under Norvell. I think that's the biggest issue is funding yet another roster when you're going to have to go, especially now with the recruiting class in limbo, where you're going to have to go to the portal yet again. And I don't think people are happy about that at all. It's just it is a very weird point. And again, I do want to stress, like, Norvell and the staff a lot of them are great guys. Like, it kind of sucks that it's gone to this point, and I think it's a tough situation for everybody. Like,
and they are professionals when it comes to their effort in recruiting, or at least I want to say that about Mike. Mike is a professional. He treats things the right way. He communicates well with the kids. Maybe the entire rest of his staff maybe don't hold that to that same level, but Mike himself cares deeply about recruiting, and there is going to be effort until he's basically locked out of the facility.
Yeah, that's why I don't know where they're going this week, but they're still going to hit the road recruiting. Like, you have to keep doing your job. That's also the weird part about situations like this is, like, you saw it last year, like with Randy Shannon. Like, you knew Randy Shannon was probably out the door, and he still kept recruiting. Actually, I've heard from multiple people in the program that, like, the Sear twins was a Randy Shannon win. That was his parting gift. So it's like, good things can still happen, but it's just a really, really weird time. Like, I don't even know how to, like, to be honest with you, I've barely done much recruiting work this week because there's not, like, what are the kids going to really say?
You're going to hear the same thing from every single kid as we're going to turn it around. Losses happen. We believe in Mike, yada, yada, yada. That is going to be the messaging pretty much from every single camp across the board. And that's what they have to say. That is what they have to say, unless they choose to be bold and talk about some other schools that are coming after them or other places they're going to be visiting. There are a couple of Florida State commits that have either been on an official visit recently or are going to be on an official visit later in a couple of weeks. We'll get to that later in the show. I have a hard time thinking that conversations with these coaches on the recruiting trail as they hit the road this week, because they are going to be on the road recruiting during the bye week. I have a hard time thinking that those conversations with high school coaches, high school prospects are going to be very fruitful at this point. Mike and his staff are going to have to battle a serious amount of negative recruiting. It's very much a situation in which they have to go and do their jobs, as you've said. They have to go and do their jobs, and they do want to add to this recruiting class. That's also the thing too. They still have kids coming in on official visits for the Wake Forest game and for Virginia Tech. But assuming that Norvell is still going to be here, now you're also battling the fact that you're bringing these kids in on visits to watch a product on the field that's subpar, with fans in attendance that are mostly out on Mike Norvell. That's not going to induce a great recruiting environment. And what are you going to pitch these kids anyway on, Matt? So you're going to have to speak with some authority and confidence that you're going to be here, while the rest of the country understands that you're probably not. It just seems like every single recruiting action that you can do moving forward, because you haven't fired Mike Norvell, is basically a waste of money, time, and resources, which ironically enough is what I think that this administration is trying to avoid by kicking the can down the road in terms of his future.
Yeah, it's just such a tough spot. Like, even like when you're going on the road, yeah, you have to, like, we'll get into this a bunch. Like that was a good intro of everything we're going to go over for the show. Pretty much, we kind of touched on everything a little bit in the first 6 minutes there. But it's like at this point, you need to win out, and you need to see if that's enough to save your job. In my opinion, if you would have looked at what we said at the beginning of the year, if he finishes 8-4, I would think he's okay. I think it's going to be tough at this point just because of booster and Battle's End support, or like people giving to that money or giving to them, just because it's like, what, we really going to do this again? Like, we're really going to go through and do the same old, same thing. But just keep winning. Win out, and that'll shut everybody up. But it's, I mean, it's going to be tough to see him win out, though. Like, I chalk NC State at a Friday night game in Raleigh as an auto loss every time. That was before all this happened. I thought that was a loss. Like, Clemson, you're lucky they're down this year, but still at Clemson, and then at the Swamp is never a gimme. Yeah. So those are probably your three games you look at. What do you think if they lose to Wake Forest next week that they could scrap the statement?
Well, I thought if he lost to Stanford, they were going to fire him. So
we all did.
I think everybody did. So I don't really know where the buck stops with this administration. Now, it's been said before, not only on our show, not only in my articles, but your articles, I'm sure, there is some money to be saved by keeping Norvell to the end of the season. Roughly $4 to $6 million is roughly around that number. And that will help you significantly. It's not a huge chunk of change by comparison to what you're going to be paying him otherwise. But I guess the question that we're all asking, and I think everybody is continuously surprised as the answer continues to get pushed back, is what's the final straw? And every single time we come to a final straw, we're like digging through couch cushions and find out here's another one that Mike is going to have to break. Now, would it take Wake Forest coming in and embarrassing you at home with a first-year head coach? I don't know. I would hope so. I feel like for the sanity of Florida State fans, you'd hope so as well. But how many times are we going to continue, I don't want to say making excuses, but kind of just turning a blind eye to the mediocrity that's on the football field right now? How many times are you going to say or have to swallow situations like Pitt coming in with a true freshman quarterback with his first road start and him torching you for, I can't remember exactly how many yards passing, but it was over 200 yards passing, and you couldn't win that game even with him having a couple of oopsies. How are you expecting us to swallow going on the road at Stanford and losing to their backup quarterback against a putrid Stanford football team? It's like, I don't know when that last straw is going to be, because I feel like we've already hit that last straw a couple of times, and it's that $53 million buyout that's really kind of just, I guess, if you want to divvy it up, that's obviously the main thing that's preventing this administration from moving on. But to bring it back into recruiting, I do think that at least trying to keep this recruiting class together is a small slice of the pie. But you and I both agree on it. Like, the effort is futile. The class is going to go whether you like it or not if Mike is gone.
It doesn't matter. People, as much as I think I said this on the Jeff Cameron show when the statement got released on Monday. As much as us as alumni or fans or analysts, whatever, want to say they're committed to Florida State, the school itself, nothing else, that's just not true. Like, let's be realistic here. I think there's one kid in this class you can say that about, but the people, and even Norvell says this, and I think this is true about everything. The people make the plays. Jimbo's Florida State is much different than Mike's Florida State or Willie's Florida State. The people make the plays. You're committing to the staff. You're committing to Mike Norvell. You're committing to your position coach. I would say more Mike Norvell, because since position coaches can move around a lot more. And I can take this straight into recruit reactions, which is next on our list, to the statement. Like, they are committed to Norvell. A lot of them were very, and there's a whole thread up on the message boards. That was really the only thread all week that we had, just because other than that, like a OV got scheduled, and we'll get into that as well. But it's like, there's nothing to really cover right now until the team starts winning again. But it's, they are happy. The kids side of it, they are happy that Mike Norvell is still here and is still getting a shot. And even like Sean Johnson is one that's like, Mike Norvell is a big reason, why I committed. Jacoby Green was really happy to see it. Caden Henderson, number 1 linebacker in the 2027 class, is like, that's my guy. I just want to see him do well. So it's like, these kids like Norvell, and it always has been like that. Nick, I think you can attest to that too. Like, these kids have always liked Norvell. I think like Norvell has always tried to recruit his ass off. Like, I know that it is like that he loses out at the last second, and that's the reputation, but they've hit on him the last few years, I would say. And he even mentioned that they're excited about these past 2 classes. It's kind of a weird spot, honestly. You think about it. It's like, the issue is it's year 6, not year 1 or year 2. Yeah. These are year 1 and year 2 problems, not year 6 problems. Right. But again, in general, for the recruit reactions, it's the kids are excited. The kids are excited that he has a chance and that he is staying for now. And I do think a lot of them, and we'll talk about this too, that they have to look at your options now, because it's kind of as we said, it's all in limbo.
If you're not looking up your options, you're doing yourself a disservice, because
100%. You have to look at your options.
And that's kind of the one thing that I feel that Florida State is voluntarily giving up by keeping Mike through the rest of the season is, yes, you get to keep Mike here for now. You get to keep some of those kids committed here for now. But in an alternate dimension where you fired him on Monday, you get that firing juice. It's real. It happens. Or sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it makes things worse. It's kind of a 50-50. But sometimes your team gets energized from something like this. Your fan base gets to release a heavy breath or a heavy sigh. It's done now. But then you get the opportunity for the interim coaching staff, whoever is still left, to really try and sell the future in the best way that they can. Instead of having that future be in limbo, you try to sell on what is reality. And yeah, we've said it in the show already. There are some kids that you're going to lose no matter what happens. But you'll have the opportunity to have 2 home games left. You have the opportunity to bring in recruits and say, okay, here's what we still have to offer, regardless of whether Norvell is the head man or not. We still have early playing time. You still have the brand. You still have the atmosphere. You still have the renovated stadium. You still have the brand new, recently revealed fully and moved into football only facility. You still have all these great things about Florida State. And what if they look better on the football field too? It's like, oh man, they actually look like they're playing with some juice now. And you get to see some players that maybe fly around a little bit more, players that you want to play with moving forward. Maybe just as a hypothetical, Kevin Sperry starts at Wake Forest or when Wake Forest comes into Doak Campbell Stadium, and he looks great. He looks great. He looks like the future, which I think I like Kevin Sperry quite a lot. I know you as a Texas guy are in love.
Yeah, I don't think you want to give me an opportunity to talk here, or else I'll go the rest of the show.
But the point being, it's like you by keeping Norvell here, you are robbing yourself of all of those tiny little things that maybe can flip the perception of the future of the program. You can give some of these families and students or recruits something to think about. And just I'll wrap this up here.
And it would cause a fundraising booth.
Yes.
Booth, most likely.
I mean, there might be a fundraising booth. somewhere
There
on
probably
campus.
is.
Yeah.
There probably is. But it would, I think, in general, when you bring in a new guy, no matter who it is, that hypes the fan base up. And you have 9 months of Kool-Aid to drink before he plays a game and feel good about him. And that causes a fundraising boost, which helps recruiting, which helps you get guys out of the portal. Like that, all that is in one. And when you keep Norvell, and again, I think a lot of the issue is now it's like this again, really, and it's kind of interesting how quick they got to the same spot as UF. Like Billy Napier's, which is hilarious. It's actually really funny because we talked about it last week. So I want to follow up on it a little bit. Billy, normally on a normal, when Florida State was winning a few weeks ago and Arkansas fired Sam Pittman, I was instantly looked at their commit list and said, all right, who here could Florida State go after just in general? Not always connected, but take a peek. When UF fired Billy Napier and we were hyped up, we were excited for that to happen, and we thought that would have a big impact on this class, I didn't even look at the commit list again. Because it was I don't what's the point of this? There's no, we're in the same spot as them now.
They're not going to jump out of the fryer and go into the frying pan, and certainly there's not enough NIL in the coppers to be able to entice them to even come over and put themselves in that situation. So
what that was the chance, and I said last week, I thought that was the chance that Norvell had to recruit for his job and save it.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. It was gone at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Early on a Sunday morning. Yeah. And
early on Sunday. I did still play golf after, by the way.
Did you?
Sunday. I did.
Never get in between Matt Lassere and a tea time, I guess, no matter what you do. No, I feel like when all is said and done, I think the biopsy of this Mike Norvell recruiting regime or this recruiting operation is going to be interesting because there are so many things that when you look at it, you're like, okay, now that's the right way to do it. You talked about it, you touched on it. You said these kids literally like Mike. He has the energy. He has an infectious and unique energy that it's something that we've heard time and time and again. And I think people would be remiss to, I guess, say, oh man, they're talking about Mike again. But that is something unique. That is almost like a calling card. That is something that's infectious. That is something that keeps you intrigued and keep coming back. It's just there are other things. There are other things in the recruiting operation that are just like, what are you doing?
And by the way, the people on Twitter are bringing back up the videos of Mike yelling and stuff like that, or the guy committing on the field. I don't know which recruit it was, or when it's a Ruben Bain arriving. Kurt's video from Ruben Bain arriving years and years ago as a recruit.
Maybe so.
And people are now starting to call that cringy and stuff by Norvell. Guys, that's the way Norvell is, always has been, and that's part of this thing that the kids love is that energy. That that's how he is around the facility. That's how he is every day. When we're sitting in a press conference waiting for him to come in, we know he's almost there because we hear him yell down the hallway.
Yeah,
and
that's just
who yell at another player. That is who he is, and that is one of the things that the kids love about him. So don't call it cringy and stuff. That's how they've gotten some good recruits, is off the energy, off of him meeting them at the curb and the whole staff being in the lobby to clap them up and walk in. That's something other staffs don't do. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like defending Norvell, but I just also want to be like that. That is something that's a staple. That is Norvell's thing.
It's something good to be able to say positively when pretty much everybody universally is like, there was a mistake made on Monday and you should not be the head coach here. There's something to be said for giving props where it's due. And I think that there are props due there. Now, as I said, there are other things that you take a look at and you go, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you playing it this way? I think Mike had the tendency to be a little bit too nice. I would have loved Mike to be a little bit more cutthroat. Say, we only want you to come to Florida State if you want to come to Florida State. No, dig your heels in, become a bit of a bull, go to war.
Maybe negative recruit a little bit, because I don't think they're big negative recruiters. Okay, maybe. I'm not a fan of negative recruiting. We've talked about this before.
Oh, you're too nice. Do want to thank one of our sponsors for the Warpath in Andy Ludicky from myperfectfranchise.net. Are you sick of your job? Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race behind? Do you want to diversify, build wealth, and or leave a legacy? Do you have a job and do you want a side hustle? Well, Andy can help you. He is a franchise consultant as well as a franchise owner, and he helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, their passions, their financial requirements, all of that. And his services are 100% free, and he's here to help you. If you have any questions about business ownership, he also loves college football. So whether you're on the West Coast, the East Coast, North, South, wherever, if you love college football, Andy wants to talk to you about it, head to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more. Or you can text or call Andy at 404-973-9901. That's 404-973-9901. Thanks again, Andy, for sponsoring the Warpath. So we've talked a lot about kind of the implications of what keeping Norvell has done, what it could mean, what it could look like. Well, the recruits and their reactions to things are also something that needs to be stated. Now, I said earlier in the show, they're going to tell you kind of the same statement. They're going to tell you some of the same things. But it's a two-way conversation, right? It's not only what the recruits are saying to you and the recruits are saying to the coaching staff. It's what the coaching staff is saying to the recruits. And Mike Norvell, you asked Mike about this on Wednesday. I do want to play this. I'm interested to hear his response here because I actually didn't watch the presser from the other day, so I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
I assume you guys are hitting the road recruiting like a regular bye week. Kind of what is your messaging to recruits right now?
Well, I mean, it's been, obviously we've got great relationships, and this is where over the last, as recruiting has kind of changed, the calendar moving up to December signing day and some of those things. You spend so much time with those relationships and the years that go into it. And we got a great signing class, and we got a great group of guys that believe in us and what we're doing. And even with the disappointing results, I mean, I've got more positive messages or phone conversations with the guys that are committed to us. Just it's a belief, and they see it. Like, I mean, people that play football, they're in it. They experience it in their high school world. I mean, there's going to be the good, the bad. Like, nobody wants to go through the disappointing moments, but by position, they've been able to see themselves in having success here. And, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure if they're getting opinions of where things are, it's probably not. I'm sure other coaches are saying whatever they want to say, but these guys that are committed to it, I mean, they've been really good, and that's not saying that they're not gonna, I mean, they're kids, they're 18-year-olds. I mean, it's all part of their journey and experience. But there's a lot of confidence, a lot of belief, and the message hasn't changed of who we are, what we're about, and the opportunity that's here for them. And as you look at our team, we're a young team. We've had a lot of true freshmen because a lot of true freshmen have come in and earned the opportunity. I think we've really done a great job with our talent acquisition, especially with these younger classes. And I'm excited about what it's going to be, and these recruits see that opportunity as well.
We have time for two more, Bob.
Interesting.
So I don't know what you think, but I thought in general, even though everyone thinks Mike's message has gone stale and has gotten kind of annoyed with the belief response, all that stuff, but I felt like that was the most real answer he gave throughout the press conference, and especially that he's ever given about recruiting.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear him talk about negative recruiting from other programs, because that's something that I don't think I've ever I don't recall Mike ever saying something about that, at least on the record, about negative recruiting. I do believe that recruits are messaging and showing belief in the program, but I feel some of that. I feel there is a certain level of projection there and saying, yeah, they still believe, just as I'm sure the coaching staff still believe, but it doesn't mean the writing on the wall is invisible ink and it's going to go away. So I found that interesting.
Also, I want to point out, we've said a couple weeks in a row, wins and losses don't matter in recruiting unless you're really good or you're really bad.
And we're really bad right now.
And you're teetering on the floodgates opening up here. But it's he did kind of say that as well, saying like these kids who actually play football understand the losses.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out that our point got proven in that as well. So but
to be fair, I'm sure they also understand when you should beat teams, and
No,
you
it's
do see the lack of discipline and 13 penalties on Saturday night and losing to a program that is just as bad as not worse. Well, obviously worse historically, but certainly over the last two seasons, that's not a good football team. I do also find it interesting that he kind of acknowledged the fact that kids are going to decommit. Probably like there was like a little bit. I don't think that's what he said. I'd have to
no.
go back and listen to it, but certainly there was the understanding. He basically set the expectation that it doesn't mean that kids aren't going to decommit. Like he made sure to say, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to stick here, but
Yeah.
I think that when in terms of that was a good measured response.
We always ask him that going into the bye week, what the message is. And like, that's a pretty normal question for around this time of year. But it just is obviously a lot more interesting going into you being on the hot seat and not even a hot seat, a scorching hot lava seat.
Yep.
But yeah, I liked his answer in general. I mean, kind of what we expected as well, like nothing too far off, but I do like that he said he's had a lot of conversations with the commits. It's pretty clear at this point that they're focusing more on keeping the class intact than getting new additions, right? Would you agree with that? That the focus is on the commits already, saying, because he said, I like our signing class and I've talked to our commits a lot. He didn't talk about, early on in the season, there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest of guys like circling back and stuff like that. Now it's more keeping the class intact.
I kind of disagree. I do think that there is an emphasis on keeping the class together, but I think if you're Mike Norvell and you're under the impression that you have the belief in yourself that you're going to turn around, you're also going to have to account for next year too. So you're going to have to tackle some of the things that you have underperformed at, not only this year in the recruiting trail, but last year as well. You're going to have to account for the lack of edge rushers. Obviously, there's a lot of defensive linemen that have yet to come in on official visit that are scheduled for Wake Forest and then Virginia Tech. I'm not trying to do a psyop on Mike entirely here, but I think I don't think that they have just stopped saying, well, we're going to focus on what we have because that makes the most logical sense. No, you need to treat the job as if you're going to be here next year. It doesn't matter if millions and millions of people know otherwise.
But also at the same time, we didn't think there was going to be many additions to this class going into the year. Yes, you need an edge rusher and you probably need an offensive tackle. Still don't know where they're going at offensive tackle.
Yeah.
No, can't even tell, and only 2 opportunities left to visit. Maybe they're just packing that one in. Deron Parks actually has lost a lot of weight and looks a lot more like a tackle now. Thanks to John Garcia, who did a story with him at his new place. I can't off the top of my head know, but it's
I see John back working too.
Yeah, John's a great guy, guys. But Deron Parks has lost a lot of weight and is looking more like a tackle, so maybe that kind of fills that void for you there. But it's there's still guys coming, and you need a running back. You do need a running back, but it's so you need those 3. I would say mainly the 2 of edge rusher and running back, and I wouldn't be opposed to them not having a running back at all. I wouldn't be mad if that happened. We've talked about that a bunch. But then again, this is where it gets so complicated. Of we try to project it, but you can't project right now.
Yeah. And there are guys that are coming in on official visits. We've talked about it briefly, but just to run through it. Obviously, Cameron Wilson said that he was in the process of setting one up when he left his visit recently. Obviously, you have that running back prospect that you were talking about in Fatboy Wiggins. He's got his official visit set up. And then Dalen Green, who is somebody that we've been talking about the last couple weeks on the show, Matt, as somebody that could potentially join the class. And I think if we're talking here and we've kind of alluded, well, why are you going to be joining the class at this point? There's kind of a limbo there. You're going to have diminishing returns on the football field, or excuse me, the recruiting trail and the football field. But Dalen Green is one of those prospects that I feel like maybe that doesn't matter to as much, considering that he's right down the road. His head coach already did get fired at Arkansas. So I feel like it's essentially you got to jump into a boat at some point. And I feel like maybe if you're going to jumping into a boat that's close to shore, AKA home, is probably going to be a better option for somebody like Dalen. But Dalen's going to be coming in for the Wake Forest game, I believe, Matt.
Yep, that's what some sources around the recruitment or close to the recruitment told me a couple days ago. Again, him and Wiggins, I actually really like where Florida State sits right now. Wiggins, I could see Auburn, I think, is another place he is officially visiting or going to visit. And he visited Georgia for the Ole Miss game, so we'll see. Have to monitor that as well. So you got some big boys going after him, but I do like where Florida State sits there. That's one where look, Auburn's coaching is also in limbo. Georgia's isn't in limbo, but what are the chances he's going to see the field at Georgia over Florida State? Not as much, right? Especially with the Jay Lamar coming in there as well.
Yeah. At
Florida State, you have the chance to be the one running back in the class right now. Like you are that top guy. So it's – and then Dalen Green, I like where Florida State stands as well. I think Florida State's trending in a really good spot here, especially now this will be a second visit coming back since Sam Pittman got fired. This is Florida State's to lose at this point, in my opinion. I think you agree on that. It was always if Florida State pushes, he's going to end up here. And you can clearly see by setting up the OV that they're pushing.
Yeah. An interesting conversation, I think, is how do I want to word this? If this recruiting staff is still pushing the playing time angle, and it's very clear that there is early playing time here at Florida State, they're playing a lot of freshmen.
It's been something for the last few weeks, by the way. Because remember when the defensive lineman left for the Miami or the Pitt game, they said that as well.
Correct. How much? I guess if you're a recruit, how do you 6'7"? How do you how do you scale and wage the prospect of early playing time at a prestigious university over the reality that the head coach that's recruiting you to said university has a high likelihood of not being there? So how do you gauge that?
Yeah, so it's basically which would you rather? Would you do you want to play right away, or do you want to go somewhere where you can learn to play and then play, right? Like it's development.
Yeah.
It's essentially what you're looking at. I mean, do you want, because you could go out there and play early and get your whole career ruined pretty easily.
Sure.
Not even from an injury standpoint, just from getting worn down and running, we started this with running backs. Running backs, like you see it in the NFL, they don't have a long lifespan in the NFL anymore. I think Zeke Elliott was the best. As a Cowboys fan, I can tell you Zeke Elliott is the best example of that. But it's so maybe you don't really want that as a running back, but it's always going to be appealing to get on the field right away to anybody. It's hard to find the cons in that because it's just, dude, I get to play right now. I get to play in Doak Campbell Stadium right now against a Miami next year against is Notre Dame at home or at Notre Dame? It should be at home.
I think it should be here. Yeah.
Yeah. I get to play Notre Dame in Doak Campbell Stadium right now. That's sick. That. So it's kind of look at it as a 17, 18-year-old kid. It's appealing.
No, and that's why I said earlier. That's why I said earlier in the show, it's by keeping Mike around now, you're losing those opportunities to do something like that, to lean on your brand, to lean on the early playing time. But instead, you're kind of putting yourself into a self-imposed lame duck period. Yep. When you know that the president is going to roll over, and that's just the lame duck sitting period where nothing really gets done, and it's just a bunch of waiting. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're just in a bunch of waiting. You're not getting ahead of things in lieu of potentially trying to save the class that you have committed. And I do want to say, and I want to make this point, they do really, really like this class. They like what they have. Yeah. So it would be, you understand why they want to keep. And to be honest with you, we were talking before the show, and it's we know there are going to be decommitments. If Mike's gone, there's going to be decommitments. All hell's going to break loose. But you take a look at this commitment list, and there are a lot of kids that are either under-recruited or homers or legacy prospects, to where it's okay, well, not everybody's just going to run up and leave.
It's a weird avenue to where you could really see a lot of these, in general. Now, this is us probably being a little bit overly positive to admit it, but you could see a path to a lot of these kids staying no matter who the coach is. That is true. Yeah. There's a lot of legacies and stuff like that. Now they're still going to lose 50% of it no matter what, or 75% of it no matter what.
And there are going to be guys that we think may stick that end up leaving, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and vice versa. I guess, who would you say right now, if you could say, okay, that person's probably going to leave the class, maybe one of their defensive linemen that, like an Ernest Rankins or a Tico, or maybe Jay Timmons. I mean, Jay Timmons just went to Ohio State on an official visit.
Well, he goes this weekend.
It's
I believe
it's this weekend.
Whenever they play Penn State.
I thought it was last. Oh, I thought it was last week.
It got set. It was. I will admit it was confusing looking at it because I think when I talked to him, I actually thought it was that coming weekend, and then I realized it wasn't as I was writing the story. But it's he's going whenever they play Penn State, which I believe is this weekend at noon. Because of course
the old Fox noon kick.
Yeah, of course the Big Ten is at noon.
My God.
But yeah, I mean, like first, and this is no knock on Jay Timmons, it's just the one that has been taking other visits the most in this class so far. Like this class has actually been very good about being fairly locked in. I will say, I think Devin Carter was at Auburn for Cam Newton's jersey retirement. Because if you look at his Instagram, he posted a picture there. But that could have been more of Cam Newton's literally a 7-on-7 coach. So he could just have been there for the jersey retirement. But that's the first I look at, the first name that pops in my head of someone who would leave the class first is Jay Timmons, just because he's going on that Ohio State visit. I think he's locked into Florida State. I really do. But what sticks out to me is that when I talked to him about the visit last week, he said, I'm committed to FSU and to the staff, right? This is us nitpicking quotes, but he did say to the staff. That to me, and keep in mind, this was a kid who also didn't want to leave the Indiana class. Right. He was close to not taking the official visit to Florida State in general, but just the way he's been going and taking these visits. And again, this is Ohio State we're talking about, who they're going to be able to offer him money. They're probably mad that they lost Corbin Fordham to Florida State. And that, a get back maybe. But I think that is the first one you look at just because it's the first visit scheduled that we knew about. And he said committed to the staff. So that makes you think like, when the staff gets fired, obviously I'm sure whoever comes in hits him up, but he's committed to Norvell.
Yeah. Committed to Norvell, committed to the program. I don't know, Matt. One thing that you may be also committed to your shaving routine. Making sure that everything is looking right, nice and clean shaven. Got to impress the girlfriend who you're down with right now. You got to look good. You got to look good. If you're in the need of looking good, well, Dollar Shave Club, they make you look good, especially with Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles. When you do rep your team. Especially with Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles. When you rep your team, you don't stop at the jersey. These collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, and fans show their school spirit and style from the sink to the stadium. Shave with school pride, no matter where you are in the country. Visit dollarshaveclub.com to grab your college handle today. Go Noles.
By the way, to add on to that, not that the Dollar Shave Club is a sponsor, and they do Dollar Shave Club, but at Township match so or not. But Dollar Shave Club is actually doing something at Township this Monday and Tuesday, October 27th and October 28th. They said Dollar Shave Club will be hanging out there on the patio, and I think they're giving stuff away. I'm not exactly. Yeah, it says games and giveaways with a picture of a Dollar Shave Club Florida State Razor. So I wanted to help them out, throw that in there. Dollar Shave Club will be at Township on Monday and Tuesday this week.
Well, there you go. You get to try out their collegiate razor handles in person. Get some hands-on action there. It's always kind of tough projecting and talking about who could leave, who could stay. You're starting to see a little bit more movement there. Karan Maycock has scheduled a Texas visit for the week of the Wake Forest game. So that's November 1st. I don't know if that was just the first week that, they could have gotten him into Texas. I don't know if Texas has a bye week this week or not. Maybe that's something that you can look into, Matt, while I'm talking here. But one of your earliest linebacker recruits, one of your earliest commitments to this class in Maycock, going to be on a different campus the next time that you have a home game. It's interesting because Maycock was one of those ones that, Papuchis won early on, continued throughout the rest of his recruitment. came on his official visit, kind of teased that there was a final decision coming, but then ultimately that decision was parked
Was
to the
nothing,
side.
and that he's just sticking.
He's just sticking. Haven't really heard too much from Maycock since. I don't think he's been on campus a ton.
He came for the Miami game, I believe.
Still,
I think that was it.
I mean,
Yeah.
one visit, and it's, to be clear, it's not like you're taking stocks in who's going to be the best recruit and the best commit ever, and who's going to come to all the games, right? Sometimes it's just not logistically possible, but that could be one to watch, Matt, as some of these commitments start to take feelers out, and in other cases like Maycock's, take visits.
I mean, it makes sense. Like we said before, you have to look at your options now. You don't have a choice. I'm kind of surprised it's Texas over Miami or like somewhere else. But we've always said that Maycock is a big time recruit. He's one where the ranking doesn't really make sense, but it's he's still a guy who can go wherever he wants. It's not surprised that Texas is still in on him. I wonder what the NIL comparable offer is from Texas to Florida State. Maybe we can have our guy Justin Wells back on, or I'll ask him and give you guys an update next week on that. But yeah, you have to look at your options. Like, that's whenever there's visits scheduled. Like, even Darion Williams, I believe, told our Michael Langston that he needs to start looking at and possibly visiting other places. Like, you have to. You don't have a choice at this point.
Yeah. You absolutely have no choice. And as I said earlier in the show, and as we talked about on the show before, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't. I'm not sure how much Chuck Kennan is searching, though. He's been pretty vocal on social media, at least publicly, about his commitment to the program, and obviously he's got the Seminoles tattoo. And all things considered, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but oddly enough, even though he's your highest rated recruit, I feel like he's probably in the upper echelon of kids that you feel good about sticking. Now, granted, things can change.
I made a joke to you. I sent you a screenshot of Google searches for tattoo removal places, but I don't think it he does have a tattoo, and we've seen it in this day of college football. What does that mean? Who knows? But for a high school kid to get it, I think that would mean. So, like we said, I said Jay Timmons is just because he's the first one to schedule those visits. You look who might leave the class first, but Chuck Kennan is the one that you look like is most likely to stay, no matter who the coaching staff. And that is solely because he has a tattoo.
Do you think it probably like an Ionata or Jacoby Green?
Ionata could still go join. It's Jacoby Green. Yeah, I could see that one being up there, but Ionata could go join his brother at Bama. That's why I don't put him at number one.
Well, I mean, not to say that the offer I don't think he has a Bama offer.
Oh, did he never actually have it? But he was going to officially visit there. It was always between Florida State and Alabama.
I don't think he had an offer there. Did he? I don't think he did. I think he was just going to visit because it was an unofficial visit in the spring. No, I don't think he's got an Alabama offer. So,
never mind. Yeah, he'd be up there towards the top two. But definitely, I still say Chuck is number one of probably staying.
Wouldn't it be the biggest dose of irony ever that Isaiah Williams ends up being a Seminole if Mike Norvell gets fired after everything that's going on in that recruitment?
Yeah, that would be funny.
That would. What a change of events. And that's not to say that none of this is guaranteed. I think we've made that very well known, and none of this is guaranteed. It's all speculation at this point, but that'd be really funny. It does bring up an interesting question. Right now, Florida, we've talked a lot ad nauseum in the show about Florida State recruiting kind of being in limbo. What else is it? Some of the other things that are in limbo include your donations to Battle's End and your NIL, because people are going to stop donating soon. Money is going to get a little bit more tight. You don't have money to go after other prospects, or as many prospects as you would have hoped to kind of add to this class if you were going to add. At what point do you have the conversation and say, okay, we do have this NIL available? And I think that you kind of mentioned this early in the show, and I kind of pushed back on it, but maybe from this angle, I'd change my viewpoint. How much does NIL have to do with the retainal of players, versus the relationships and trying to get them to stay. And is it possible that now with NIL being so prevalent, like back in 2019, NIL was kind of just getting started. You maybe didn't have as much financial backing or tugging to stay at a specific program or go to another program, but things are vastly different now. Is there a world where Florida State has the NIL and they kind of up some of the price tags to kind of keep some of these kids here? Or do you think that it's purely just like the relationship is gone if they fire Norvell and, it's going to be a scatter?
I think it goes both ways. Like relationships matter, but not as much as they used to, right? In my opinion, relationships get you a discount. That's what relationships do, because it's, well, I really like this guy. I really want to play for him. So I'll take a little less. Like, that's fine. Like a Solomon Thomas was going to do until Alex Adkins was gone, right? Like he was taking a pay cut because he loved Alex Adkins and wanted to play for Alex Adkins. So, but and he still is playing for Alex Adkins at LSU, but it's not directly a position, but he is. But it's but yeah, the problem with no staff is that you do have to pay him a little extra. But with the way NIL is and the way it being transactional, like more transactional of, recruiting is the best offer, which it is, but that's not everything. Like recruitment's everything is a factor, and it goes by recruit basis. Like it switches from each kid to kid what their priorities are. But I do think that you could get kids to stick if you pay them a little extra without a coaching staff. Like I do think that's a possibility, and I think it would be easier to hold the class together. But again, at the end of the day, it's also more expensive to do.
Yeah.
And when you're having people cut funding, their personal funding, like and I don't think the big donors have really cut their funding yet, but
it's the smaller donations.
But yeah, John Doe, who gives $50 a month because he loves Florida State and he wants to see the program do well, those are the people getting out, right?
Yeah.
And you see that on Twitter all the time. You see those people talk about it, and it's tough. And that money adds up when you have 100 people do it. And that's where it goes to is it cost benefit analysis? Is that right? I'm not an economics guy. I know you're not.
Oh my God. You're crawling back to like high school econ. And
yeah, I know.
Honestly, that is not in my brain anymore. That has been shoveled out through the brain sewer. It's gone.
Yeah, but it's in general, that's where you look at why Norvell, everyone thought he was going to get fired on Sunday or Monday, was because
you're never going to use cost benefit analysis in your real life. 10 years later, here we are having
10 years
this conversation.
Later, I don't know if that's the right term for it. I'm sure someone's yelling at the video. It sounds right.
Sounds right. Sure.
But because it's where Mike Norvell's buyout isn't all up front. It is the $10 million a year normal contract wise. They've probably lost that $10 million in booster donations, NIL donations already. Yeah. So you could pay for it back, essentially. That's the whole. I think that's why people are so mad that he's still here in general. But it's
then the other thing is like, hey, the transfer portal is now in January. You're not going to have to rat race directly into the transfer portal if you're a new coaching hire in December. Do you choose?
You have time to scout and look. But this stat,
exactly.
With the new coach next year, with the timeline they're going on, this roster is going to be 100% portal.
Yes. Yeah.
I
mean, that's the point.
Let's say
so
95 with Chuck Cannon and his tattoo.
Oh God, the tattoo meme forever on the warpath. I do think that's important to note because I mean, you're going to have that time in January. You're going to have time for whoever this new hire is. Let's say it's like a Golesh or a Franklin, right? Or whoever, or Sumrall from Tulane, like whoever you get. You're going to have time for that goodwill, that booster donation to pack back up, and then maybe you can go and get some better guys in the portal, a la Mike Norvell style. Which people are gonna really not like for a while, but it's gonna be how it is.
I guess you really have to hope that it's a current head coach that can bring a lot of people with him, like a Cignetti model. Right, because Cignetti brought everyone from James Madison, which was an undefeated team, out of Group of 5 level, but then they still were able to perform on the Big 10 level with a few extra new pieces thrown in there. But for the most part, it was pretty close to that James Madison team. So it's that's kind of what you hope for.
Yeah, I think that's going to be his major storyline moving forward is how Florida State allocates its remaining NIL funds and how they choose to navigate this. I just keep coming back to the point in my head, Matt, the fact that they've just made this situation extremely complicated, ever so more complicated than just firing him on Monday. Do you feel that same way? Because I feel like they've just made it worse for themselves. And I know we've talked a lot about the should they or should they not in terms of the future of Mike and what they should have done on Monday. And it's not necessarily recruiting based, but in this instance, it just feels like everything on this side of the coin, this side of the world, the recruiting side of the world, it's just they've made it themselves into a deeper hole, and they have made it ever more so complicated to the point where it's kind of just like, you're juggling 3 apples and somebody hits you with a sledgehammer. I don't know what that means, but I don't know. But yeah.
Is it the sledgehammer that says work on it?
Yes. And then you are tasked to climb up the tallest mountain, apparently, because we're still climbing here. Or maybe not. We're not climbing anymore. They took the climb language out of the social media tweets, so maybe we finally reached the peak.
Oh, did they really?
I think so. I think they took it out. I don't know. Leave a comment in the comment section if I'm right or wrong about that. I think they took it out. But hey, maybe we've reached the peak, and it's more of like maybe the climb was just climbing from Doak Campbell Stadium to the top to Diffenbaugh or Williams Hall or whatever hall that is at the top of campus next to the Prescott or the Westcott Fountain. Maybe that was the climb. 6 years to go from Doak Campbell Stadium to the Westcott Fountain. That's one hell of a climb. Let me tell you.
Hey, you are right. Ever since they posted the Stanford final score with keep climbing, they have not done hashtag keep climbing since. That's a good observation there. But they've kept hashtag Nole family.
How fast did they get rid of hashtag do something back in the Taggart era? Do you remember did they ever get rid of that?
I don't know, man. I was a drunk college kid for most of that, so I feel
like in a way that's similar to like white or black smoke coming out of the Vatican when there's a new pope or there's not a new pope.
Well, that was the tweet that Alfred put out when Mike signed his extension.
Yeah, but now maybe that's the writing on the wall is, hey, we're done climbing. We're done climbing. Or we're not going to do anything. We're done doing something.
That's what you're saying, though.
Wonder what the next hashtag will be. To be a social media mogul in the year 2025. All right, we're done here. We've yapped about all we can yap for having nothing to yap about. Goodbye, Matt. We're out. We're gone. See you next time.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks for watching The Warpath.